Catch the latest news on our website tribune.net.ph and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Tribune Now. The Daily Tribune is one with the nation in facing the COVID-19 crisis, and in line with this, the Daily Tribune digital edition and press reader is now available for free online. You can also download the Daily Tribune app on Apple Store for iOS users and Google Play for Android users to get the latest and most comprehensive news online. Daily Tribune is also inviting everyone to join its community Viber Katribu to get updates on the freshest and hottest news and entertainment stories of the day. Tarcito emoticons are also available on our community Viber. Just click on the link in this video to join.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, mga katribo. I'm
Good
Tina
morning.
Maralit with our executive editor.
Chito Lasada.
And this is Straight Talk. So, Sir Chito, the coronavirus pandemic definitely hit the Philippines very hard, and our economy took the biggest blow.
Yeah.
But 7 months in, we're surviving. We're somewhat starting to thrive again, and it's one major reason is the private sector stepping up to the plate.
Yeah.
And one such organization that has really been working doubly hard to ensure that our economy stays afloat is the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And for this morning, we are very fortunate to have with us the esteemed president of the PCCI, Ambassador Benedicto Yujuico. Good morning, sir.
Hi, good morning. How are
Welcome.
you, Tina, Chito?
Welcome, Ambassador, to Straight Talk.
Yeah, thank you for taking time to be with us today, sir.
My pleasure to be here.
So, sir, I'm going to fire the first question. So, sir, how are you? And then second, how is the PCCI coping with the crisis?
Well, I'm fine, thank you. And, I was conscripted dito sa job as president of PCCI. But in fact, I have been actually working very closely with our membership, with our area vice presidents, with our regional governors, our local chapters, with our colleagues in government to try to put together a plan that would take us out of this difficulty in a manner in which we will all be safe, but still we will be able to recover our economic levels before COVID-19. So we are okay, thank you.
So that's, Mr. Ambassador, the PBC will be held starting tomorrow, is it right?
Yes, that's right.
The agenda, I believe, would have to deal with mostly the problems of the pandemic and the effects of the COVID-19 on business. How would PBC go about it in crafting the program to recover from the effects of the pandemic?
You know, Chito, to be candid with you, last March, I think it was, when the pandemic is just starting, we had a board meeting. And at that board meeting, we discussed whether, because we didn't know exactly how the pandemic would affect business, we knew it was going to be severely affected, both lives and livelihood. We were actually discussing whether we should just cancel all of the major activities of PCCI. But in fact, instead of canceling, our board decided that we should double down. We should actually have more of the activities, more have of the seminars, webinars, and of course, we should continue with our PBC because this is when PCCI is needed the most by our membership and by our country. So it is not a time to hide. It was a time to go out, try to help, develop strategies so that we can, in the middle of this pandemic, move our country forward. So that's how we looked at it. In the beginning, with hesitation to go into activities, but in the end, we are actually doubly, even triply more busy now compared to other years.
So, sir. So, sir, I'm just curious. What kind of industries have felt the biggest impact of the crisis, po?
Yeah.
As far as your membership is concerned?
There are a lot of uncertainties now.
Yes.
Well, let me start off by saying that most of our members are MSMEs. And so yung MSMEs have been severely impacted. Now, not to say that, we also have the conglomerates as our members. And as you know, the hospitality industry, the airline industry, the tourism industry in general have been really, really severely affected. Now, going back to the MSMEs, they are, a lot of them have actually closed, but a lot of them decided that they will try to remain open primarily because they want to keep the employment. That is very, very important. And while they're open, ang PCCI is helping them actually look for financing alternatives so that their business can go on. So this is what PCCI is doing. We are teaching, for example, MSMEs to repurpose. For example, if they have a small store, we even teach them, okay, maybe you should consider going online to sell your products, etc. So this is why you will note that our theme this year sa PBC is very simple. And I think I will ask you a question. Do you know what our theme is? It's really, really simple.
I guess survival.
No. Okay, good guess, but it's not. Actually, it's just one word. Innovation.
Innovation.
Innovation is our centerpiece for this year because I believe so much that this is the word that if we are able to implement, we will not only be able to come out of this economic difficulty, but long term, we will be able to make a lot of progress as long as we learn how to innovate. Very, very important. This is how China was able to actually turn themselves into third world, very, very poor, to now kind of an advanced country because people innovated there.
So in terms of innovation, how is the government helping along the businesses?
Well, believe it or not, the government has also shared innovation as a centerpiece of a lot of their programs. I'll give you an example. The Department of Science and Technology has a lot of innovation implementation in terms of helping out, even in terms of helping out young entrepreneurs start their business, in terms of improving the formulation, in terms of improving, they even have their own online store. So there are so many programs that they have. The Department of Trade and Industry as well. As you know, they have a program called Kubo. They have a kind of an ecosystem wherein they are helping small businesses, not only in technology, but in many areas as well. I can mention many other government agencies, but lastly, I would like to mention even the Department of Agriculture has a program of innovation. So it's actually innovation that is really the centerpiece, not only of PCCI private sector, but I think government is also pushing innovation as a way for us to be able to recover economically.
Innovation would need a lot of connectivity.
Yes.
The main problem here is the
Our
speed of the
internet.
internet.
And also the cost of being
The
connected.
cost of being connected, of course. Yes.
Yes, I'm afraid that that is true. You know, we as a country have a lot to catch up to do because compared to most of or all of the ASEAN nations, ours is very high cost and very slow speed. Most of the time, the upload and download speed doesn't exceed 5 Mbps. That's not acceptable. We are not able to actually do distance learning if we cannot have reliable internet that will reach all over the Philippines. We cannot do a lot of innovation without connectivity. No, this is why I just about 2 weeks ago, in Chito, I actually proposed to the government to allow satellite connectivity without requiring a congressional franchise. Because other countries are doing this, and because we are an archipelagic country, we have all kinds of small towns and villages all over the Philippines. So you cannot it's not cost effective to do fiber optic cable to these places. So we actually proposed that to the president. We actually submitted a draft executive order for his consideration to allow private companies to set up satellite connections to deliver internet all over the Philippines. So I know that they are talking about it. I understand that it's being discussed also because we gave a copy to the Department of the DICT, Information and Communication Technology, and people are now saying that we might be able to do it, just like Thailand, just like Indonesia, and so on and so forth.
It's
interesting.
Yeah, interesting proposal. But wouldn't that be costly than what we are having right now?
No, Chito. Actually, during the past 5 years, technology has grown leaps and bounds, and then the cost has come down. Say 5 years ago, the internet, if you get connected by satellite, the internet was not reliable because of what they call latency. This means the distance between the satellite and the ground stations are so far that matagal ang response, and that cannot be when you are doing internet work. But now, because of the new technology, the satellites are much, much closer to the ground stations, and the cost of the equipment to implement this have gone much lower. So I can tell you that the main barrier lang of going in or connecting sa satellite is our government requirement that we have a congressional franchise. Kung alisin yon, we will have very fast connectivity all over the Philippines using satellite.
How do you see that being approved, the proposal for
the satellite connectivity, sir?
Satellite connectivity without a franchise?
It's a good proposal, but government, as you know, has certain procedures that they need to follow. And so we, however, at PCCI will do whatever we can to assist that hopefully that this executive order will be signed, and because that is the fastest way. If the president says, okay, we will allow this, then it will be allowed. We don't have to wait until Congress decides to do this or to do that. And that is why we are suggesting the route of, actually it's just modifying an executive order, an existing executive order.
Yan. So far, we're having a very interesting discussion with Ambassador Yujuico. Marami pa tayong pag-uusapan at itatanong sa kanya, Sir Chito. But first, we will take this short break. Magbabalik po ang Straight Talk.
This is a very important story. The important story.
Pictures and stories Today, we feel the weight of history on our shoulders.
The way we have been moving leads nowhere. We need to change course.
Since the United Nations was founded, the human race has never had to face a set of challenges like we do right now. But together, we can overcome them.
And we're back here on Straight Talk, still with PCCI President Ambassador Benedicto Yujuico. So, Sir Chito.
Yeah, I would like to ask about Buy Local. It's a program of DTI. Is it? Do you think it will help a lot in the recovery pace?
Well, it will certainly help. I don't know whether it will help a lot, Chito. In fact, even PCCI has a equivalent. We call it Pinas Muna. Pinas Muna tayo. So this is a way for us to actually remind our mga kababayans that if they buy something local, if they like it, they will be helping the small businesses recover, because this is actually going to generate income for the business. This will allow the business to hire back more employees, so makakatulong. So definitely it's something that we definitely will encourage. It's not only the goods that are found in the stores. We also encourage that in large industries, in the construction industry, for example, they should try to buy locally made steel bars, or locally made cement. And we have to put this in our national consciousness, we have to help our own country first, because if we buy imported, that means we are providing employment to another country, not to our own country. So, importante yan. Hindi naman pinipilit eh. Sinasuggest lang natin kung maaari, the local consumers buy local.
But some PCCI members are also importers. How would that reconcile? I mean, there's also the opening up of the economy due to the ASEAN Economic Community. So how do you propose to reconcile those factors?
Yeah. You notice, Chito, I said it was a suggestion. It's purely voluntary. Now, we are not going to force anybody to buy a Marikina-made shoe instead of Bali. No? So, it's a free country. We buy what we want. So, but all I want is for us to have in our national consciousness that we should first look at the local products, and if we can find, we should try. And if we cannot find, go ahead and buy what you want or what you can afford. Yun lang. Yung national consciousness is very important.
So, Ambassador, how would you define a local product? Some of the imports are being branded as local products and sold here. So,
actually, some of the local products are being branded as imports. So,
also,
but kasi hindi, there are actually, without being facetious, there are export overruns, as you know, which are actually exported. So mataas ang quality standard niya, but available locally, no? So, and so this is our situation. The consumer has a choice. And we, of course, realize that in the malls, there are stores that sell local products. There are stores that sell imported products. I'm not saying don't buy from the stores that sell imported products. I'm not saying that, no? But we have to give everybody a chance to be able to generate business. I'm just saying that kung po pwede lang, please try the local products because they are getting better and better.
Sir, I'm just curious, what's the PCCI stand on the threat of the European Union to impose sanctions on the country regarding alleged human rights abuses by the administration?
Since you have a lot of experience in dealing with the Europeans.
Well, I'm a business person, and when the EU says something, I do not say, oh, they will never do it. They don't mean it. No, as a business person, I say we have to take what they are saying seriously. Mm-hmm. We have to take it into consideration because a lot of our garments are actually enjoying EU preferential tariff rates. Mm-hmm. At pag nawala yun, we will have a lot of garment companies that is going to be closing down. We have a lot of agricultural products as well that we are exporting to Europe. Those will be affected too. So while it might be true that it is not likely that they are going to do it next month or 2 months from now, particularly during this time of pandemic, I think that we have to take things like that seriously, and we have to actually act accordingly. We cannot just say, oh, they won't do it, because we cannot take anything for granted nowadays.
By the way, sir, do you have figures like how many SMEs have closed and due to the pandemic?
It changes, Chito. About 2 months ago, when I actually conducted a national consultation with our local chapters, I was told that 50% of the micro and small businesses have already closed.
Wow.
But the other 50% are staying in business. Again, you'll be surprised. A lot of the small business owners really care about their employees. If you ask them, why are you still open? You're losing money anyway. No. We have had our employee has been with us for so long, and if we fire them, they have nothing to eat. So cannot be. So we continue. And this is why when I ask them, is there anything PCCI can do to help? So they say, okay, maybe financing, you can help. So this is why we work with government, specifically with SB Corporation. This is a financing arm of the Department of Trade. We have an agreement, a MOU with the SB Corporation that if, for example, a micro or small business needs up to 500,000 with the endorsement of PCCI, with just few documents, SB Corporation will actually lend them money.
Okay, that's good.
So, sir, what's your estimate before we could really say that we're back on our feet? Yung recovery natin from the pandemic. How long do you see bago tayo yung makakasabi natin na nakakabawi na tayo?
Well, Tina, I can't tell you exactly when, because this depends mainly on when we will be able to get a vaccine that will protect us totally from this virus. It could be a year from now, it could be 2 years from now. So what I am telling our membership is this. You just have to coexist with COVID, because we do not know exactly when COVID will end. But if we learn how to coexist, in other words, if we learn how to keep our business open, and if we learn how to do it safely without endangering our customers or endangering ourselves, then that is what we have to do. We also cannot hide in our houses. That's wrong. We cannot do that. It's not an option. So we just learn how to, as one of the, Carl Chua is a young fellow. He heads the NEDA. And he says, we should learn how to dance with COVID. This is the way it says we learn how to live with it. So I told Carl, okay, Carl, as long as the dance is one step back, pero kailangan two steps forward.
Forward. And you have to be in rhythm.
Yeah. Tsaka
Right.
may
Government
content.
and private
So,
sector.
But
yeah.
sir, sorry, sige sir, continue po.
No. The message I want to convey is that we don't know when this will end. We hope it will end soon, but the fundamental message I want to get across is we have to reopen our economy safely. We have to provide transportation so that our employees and workers can get from home to work, so that they are able to generate income, so that they will have money to provide shelter, food, and medicine. This is the most important thing that we can do. Let's try to keep the businesses open. And the government is very, very supportive. I don't know if you noticed that recently the Department of Trade actually has given the LGUs the option to tell restaurants whether they should open 30%, 50%, or even 80% capacity. That's really very good, because it's really the LGU that can determine that instead of the national government. So even the government realizes this.
Yeah, the biggest factor to reopening and recovery would be the confidence of consumers. And to do that, the government and the private sector should assure the safety, their health safety. So I think that should be one of the ends of the current recovery program.
Yes, Chito, yun ang importante talaga. But as you know, even business owners, they are to be given guidelines, but nobody wants to get sick. Nobody really wants to get sick, and automatic yun. We want to protect ourselves, no? So in terms of just the guidelines the government is giving us, that's okay. Alam mo, recently, the government invited PCCI specifically to be an observer doon sa IATF, because there are things that we in business can actually suggest because we are closer to the ground, no? I'll just give you one example. Yung pagsuot ng face shield, for example, there was a general rule before issued, lahat kailangan magsuot ng face shield doon sa place of work, no? Pero yung mga electronics companies, yung nag-assemble ng maliliit na parts.
Ambassador, we're losing you.
Private sector dyan is to actually inform the government, sir, hindi pwede yung sa ganyan sa electronic assembly eh. So, siguro yung rule na yon, kailangan bigyan sila ng exemption. Something like that. So that is the role of PCCI, kind of making suggestions to our IATF on how it is on the ground, so that when they issue the regulations, it will be something that everybody can follow.
So have you been invited as an ITF member? I mean PCCI and business groups, the business groups. Are you now part of IATF?
Or just
No. We are not part of IATF. We are invited only as observer. Yeah, that means you can sit there and observe, but you cannot vote, you cannot this, you cannot that. And if they ask questions, we can answer. Parang ganun lang. And we are very happy with that already.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure. So sir, regarding kanina na pag-usapan natin yung sa vaccine, yung PCCI po ba may initiative to like somewhat help the government have access to vaccines, especially since yung mga malalaking pharmaceutical companies are in the middle of developing them?
We're giving the government a hard time.
Sir. Yes.
Alam mo, Tina, we in PCCI don't have any much medical experience, no? So as to what vaccine, whether it's PCR, whether it is a quick test, and so on and so forth, we don't have the competence to make that determination. However, we in PCCI, just like in all other business organizations, are very sensitive to CSR, yung pagtutulong. So our help comes in terms of providing face masks, face shields, alcohol, and all of the other things that are needed by our people, even food. No, so we concentrate in that area. On the other hand, also sometimes we cooperate with some cities and government GOCCs if they ask our opinion about concepts of pool testing. Ano ba yan? Is that a good thing to do or is that a not so good thing? What's your opinion? Actually, there is a MOU on my desk now being proposed by, I cannot mention the city, but there's a city here in Metro Manila and also a government-owned GOCC asking PCCI what their opinion is. So we are partners in a sense. We actually give our opinion and hope that our opinion will be helpful.
Yan. So sir, marami pa tayo ulit pag-uusapan. Hihinga muna ako because it's so many information to take in. More of Ambassador Yujuico and Straight Talk when we return from this short break.
Magsha-shopping na lang ako! Hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver. Hello, can I get the following? One pink chair, bed sheets, na pink yung sofa, tapos slides, size 8, pajamas na blue. Oh, don't forget my hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver. Wait lang, okay ba yan?
Anything at the SM store, ma'am.
Call to deliver. Kuya, pwede rin ba ako magpa-deliver sa ate ko sa Taguig, tapos sa friend ko sa Davao, tsaka sa fiancé ko sa Lipa? Okay ba yan?
Kahit saan po, pwede kami mag-deliver.
Call to deliver. Call, hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver, hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver, call, hashtag 143SM. Hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver. Call na rin kayo. Call to deliver.
And we're back here on Straight Talk still with PCCI President Ambassador Benedicto Yujuico. Sir Chito.
Yeah, the final question, Ambassador, would you care to give us a preview of the proposals that you would be forwarding to the President at the end of the PBC?
Yes, actually, we have traditionally at the end of the PBC, we will physically actually give to the President yung aming recommendations, proposals, and so on and so forth. And this year, of course, we are going to be holding this virtually instead of physically. So we will still go through the process, and I'll just try to summarize very, very briefly what these things are. No?
Yes.
First, yung agriculture. Yung agriculture has become a very important part of our national economy and security. No? We have to learn how to feed ourselves as a nation. We cannot continue to rely on importing food to feed our people because we don't know what will happen in the future. Ngayon, at least meron na tayong lesson. Nangyari pag pandemic, yan, etc. So, this is priority number one. We need to support agriculture because we need to be able to feed our own people. No? So, under sa agriculture, maraming kailangan gawin. Farm to market roads, for example. It will take a lot of time. But under agriculture, we are now suggesting that we all pay more attention than what we have been doing before. And number two, yung infrastructure. Kailangan natin to continue building the important infrastructure So we are hoping that the government will continue to fund yung mga gastos dito sa infrastructures. However, realizing that we have budgetary constraints, the government also knows which ones are the critical and urgent and which ones can be postponed a little bit. Just to talk about yung build, kasama dyan, syempre yung transportation. Can you imagine if in 2 or 3 years we can go from Manila to Clark very fast on a train? Can you imagine kung matapos yung subway so that from UP papuntang Makati is now gonna be 20 minutes, 25 minutes at most instead of 1 and 1.5 hours. So for us to be able to develop as a country, yung build, particularly sa infrastructure, is going to be very, very important. No? And the third suggestion that we have is really how to collaborate better in private sector and government. And I have to, before we end this interview, I have to tell you there is one program that we feel, PCCI and I feel very strongly about, yung ARTA, yung Anti-Red Tape Agency, headed by Director General Maya Belica. Yan ang makakatulong sa atin because it holds yung mga LGUs accountable for the delivery of basic services to the people. At pag hindi nila ginawa yung ARTA, we'll be able to actually call their attention of the LGUs why they are not doing it. Meron silang, just one last statement, meron silang rule, for example, that says 3720. 3720 represents the number of days certain things must be delivered by the LGU, otherwise the application is deemed approved. So yun lang, tatlong yun muna. There are others, no? But I want to just close this by highlighting what are the very important points that we should be recommending to our government from the private sector via itong PBC.
So nabanggit ni Ambassador ngayon sa ARTA. So Sir, dyan papasok yung Ease of Doing Business Act.
Yes,
and
that's right.
And the recent order of the President na to speed up the approval ng LGU sa mga permits and the licenses to keep things going. Diba? Tama po ba, Ambassador?
Yes, and I'd like to just mention that PCCI is a major part of ARTA. In fact, yung aming mga regional governors, I have, ARTA has designated them as ARTA champions. Itong mga regional governors and local chapter presidents pwedeng puntahan ng mga private sector individuals sa probinsya at doon sila magreklamo. What will happen is that the paperwork will be accumulated by PCCI and then delivered to the ARTA head office. So there is a signed agreement between ARTA and PCCI, and I think ARTA is the greatest idea since the discovery of Pandesal.
So, sir, we can safely say that this has really greatly helped our businesses because of ARTA and yung partnership ng PCCI and government.
For sure, I hope so. Kailangan natin, alam mo, I'm old enough to remember in the early 60s, the Philippines was the second richest country in Asia. No? I want our country. We have a national goal. We call it Ambition 2040. I don't know if you're familiar with it. No?
Yeah.
Yung Ambition 2040 is a plan so that by 2040, our country, the Philippines, will be a middle-class country and there will be nobody who is poor here in this country. That is a national goal and that is the national plan. But by 2040, we will do that. And PCCI will do its best to try to contribute so that the Philippines can meet that goal of, they call it Ambition 2040.
Yeah, we're heading that way. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
COVID
COVID.
struck.
Yeah, COVID-19
Ah,
kind of
yeah,
halted it.
COVID is just a bump in the long road. The road is long, so it's not gonna happen overnight. Basta we work together and we have good leadership, makakarating din tayo dyan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basta
A leader-
sama-sama, tulong-tulong lang, di ba, sir?
Yeah. I'm for that, totally.
leadership with the 91% approval rate. Would you-
Wow,
Yes.
the highest ever,
The highest
Yeah.
ever. So, do you think that would help you along in the last 2 years of his term?
Well, actually, Chito, it's less than 2 years,
Yeah, less than 2 years.
And
Stand
it
corrected.
helps sa tingin ko lang, because when everybody is cooperating with the leadership and when everybody, 91% supports the president, it's easier for our country to move forward. Can you imagine if our country is totally divided like some other countries that we see in other parts of the world? Mahirapan tayo. At least we have that part solved already. No? Now we have a leader that 91% says is doing a good job and that they are following him. I am totally all for that, because if we don't have that, we cannot move forward. And I'm glad, especially during times of pandemic like this, we have to have a strong leader and we have to have the people acknowledge that they believe in the leader. Importante yan.
So I guess it's safe to say na sa 91%, sir, syempre kasama na rin dun siguro yung business sector, and the business sector has that level of confidence in the Duterte administration that we could stay afloat amid this pandemic.
Not only afloat, but actually recover from
yes.
it. That is our goal. So,
By the way,
we will do it.
Ambassador, you're having the Vice President as the first speaker. Is that a tradition or?
Yes, Chito, tradition yan. Na on the first day, the Vice President is the guest of honor. And on the last day, it's actually the President of the Republic that will give the keynote address.
To rebut.
Yes.
Rebuttal. It's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah. And I had the chance to hear, because this year it's gonna be pre-recorded message. No? Nadinig ko yung sinabi ni Presidente, and I was so glad. He had a lot of kind words to say about PCCI. So I want to kind of thank him publicly for it. Lahat ng hirap nawawala when you have a president that recognizes your contribution.
Ayan. So, Sir Chito, may tatanong ka pa ba?
Yes, we're done.
Yeah. So, ang dami pa sana natin gustong pag-usapan, but unfortunately, we're running out of time. So, Ambassador, your final message to our viewers sa business sector, sa ating mga kababayan.
3 words. We will overcome. That's it.
Said.
Short,
Yun lang.
but sweet, and powerful,
precise.
and precise. Yan. Again, Ambassador Benedicto Yujuico, President of the PCCI. Thank you, sir, for taking time out to be with us this morning. We learned a lot. We had a very interesting discussion. And we hope to see you again.
Thank you, Pina.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Chito.
It's our pleasure.
It's our pleasure, sir. We hope to be with you again next time. So,
Thank
sir,
So that's
with the discussion we had, things are looking up for the Philippine economy, you think?
I guess, yeah. The way the ambassador said it, we gave us a lot of hope.
Yes, and I guess kasi the country naman is doing better than the others in terms of addressing the crisis, and the mere fact that we're still here, we're still going. No.
Just like what Ambassador said, 91% is united behind the leadership.
Regardless of what critics say. And that's about it for another edition of Straight Talk. This has been Tina Maralit.
And Chito Lozada.
We'll see you again next time.
Bye-bye.
catch the latest news on our website tribune.net.ph and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Tribune Now. The Daily Tribune is one with the nation in facing the COVID-19 crisis, and in line with this, the Daily Tribune digital edition and press reader is now available for free online. You can also download the Daily Tribune app on Apple Store for iOS users and Google Play for Android users to get the latest and most comprehensive news online. Daily Tribune is also inviting everyone to join its community Viber Katribu to get updates on the freshest and hottest news and entertainment stories of the day. Tarcito emoticons are also available on our community Viber. Just click on the link in this video to join.
Araneta City, home to the country's first indoor shopping mall, the world's original Thrilla, and the first ever Bini Bini pageant. Now a place for your first win, your first catch, your first home, your first big break, your first date, and even your first love. Araneta City, the city of firsts.
Good morning, sir. How may I help you?
Bakit kailangan ko pang pumunta sa bangko?
Kung nga naman, sir, ba't kailangan pang pumunta sa bangko?
Why not get a UB app so you can do all these without going to the bank? Bank the way you live. Union Bank.
Click, click, that's it. Never thought self-service can be this slick. Modify plans in a snap, walang hirap, it's a wrap. Just tap the app. Now you can check, view, subscribe, renew. Help and support for you. Out with the Ring Ring apps are the in thing. You know what to do. Globe at home and Globe One, all in the Globe app na yan. Self-service and easy to use. Mas okay tayo dyan. Globe at home and Globe One, all in the Globe app na yan. Instant response, no hold time pa, wala nang hintayan. Download Globe at Home and Globe One app, all in the Globe app na yan.
Download the Globe One and Globe at Home apps from Google Play Store and Apple App Store now.
Download Globe at Home and Globe One app, all in the Globe app na yan.
Bilang bagong mag-asawa, sabay kaming natututo sa buhay.
Sabay rin naming inaaral ng mga bayarin sa bahay.
Kahit kami, nagtaka sa biglang laki ng electricity bill namin. Huwag pong mangambang maputulan. Sinisigurado ng Meralco na walang disconnection hanggang September.
Estimated bills lang ang natanggap natin ng March, April at para sa ilan, May. Dahil sa lockdown, isang tabi to para hindi na maguluhan.
Ang May o June ay actual meter reading na. Kung May nagka-actual reading, ibabawas dito ang huling reading bago mag-ECQ. Yan lang po ang ating babayaran, hanggang 3 buwang konsumo.
Kung estimated reading sa May at June nagka-actual reading, ibabawas din dito ang huling reading bago mag-ECQ. Yan lang po ang ating babayaran, hanggang 4 na buwang konsumo, walang labis. Tandaan, kung ano lang na konsumo,
yun lang ang babayaran.
Ako po si Mateo G.
At ako naman po si Sarah G.
G?
G!
Ang Philippine Offshore Gaming Operators o POGO ay isang legitimate business entity na nagbibigay serbisyo sa offshore gaming para lamang sa mga manlalarong nasa abroad sa pamamagitan ng internet. Ang mga serbisyong handog nito ay katulad ng casino games at sports betting na pwedeng laruin kahit wala sa casino. Sa Pilipinas, walang POGO operators. Tanging POGO service providers lamang dahil nagaganap ang mga laro sa labas ng bansa.